Video 21. March 17, 2011. Mythi. The whole world was shocked by the event in Japan, all the destruction caused by the tsunami on March 11. Could something have been done to anticipate such a situation? Some unidentified probes were seen flying over the progress of the tsunami. Do you know who they were? Well, answering the first question, no, nothing can be done to prevent this type of tectonic stress reaction. I already had been warning about this region to keep alert. This is a small example of what can happen around the Pacific Ring of Fire. We followed everything pretty close. We were monitoring the underwater volcanic activity. When we recorded the earthquake and subsequent shockwave that caused the tsunami. The second question, yes. The probes that flew over the area were ours. They were not operated by our team, but from another unit in our fleet. Unfortunately for now we can only observe. We have firm orders not to come into direct contact with people. If there is a global catastrophe, I'm sure we will receive orders to act. We have 4 units covering the area, with a few more Arcturian ships. My ship is in a place called Tokelau, which reverberates the symptoms of stress clearly, for analysis of tectonic activity between the plates. The South Atlantic will also launch major tectonic movements, by the weakening of the magnetic field in the region. Volcanic activity is increasing exponentially. The Arcturian base in the Atlantic is on high alert for upcoming events. In the Antarctic base, a large movement of scientists denotes the possible imminence of events. Mythi, since you're actually doing your surveys in the area of the Pacific, do you know anything about radiation leaks from nuclear power plants in Japan? Well, the leaks are still small. We are waiting to see whether the Japanese will have the capacity to contain the greatest effect. If one core melts, we can intervene to neutralize, if we have that permission to do so. There are techniques of tunneling fields of energy, which leave no effect on what is inside, but do not leave them out. There are fields of energy beyond the physical possibilities in your current planet. They can be addressed here but not raised here. It's hard to explain. When using dirty energy, at least the control systems and security must maintain redundant solutions to prevent this sort of thing from happening. It seems that these systems were not properly designed for an unstable region like Japan. If the leakage increases, this could further devastate the precarious biological balance of the entire region, including the west coast of North America. But the leaks are not the biggest threat. If parts of Japan are submerged by tectonic interaction, these plants will be submerged as well. You will have news at any time of submerged regions around the Pacific Ring of Fire. Mythi, ahead for us, what is the result of observation of current activity you are registering? See, like I said before, this year your North America and Asia will suffer a major change in its territory. It will be an event caused by the movement of tectonic plates. It cannot be prevented. This will affect the planet as a whole. The economy of the planet must also collapse after this event. Your governments know all this. They are prepared to manage the disaster their way. The drastic reduction of world population will begin in Asia and North America. generating cascading events worldwide. Little will be like as it is now. The only places with a little more chance of survival are the underground shelters. But this does not eliminate the fact that they can become tombs. As in the case of these regions becoming submerged or covered with hundreds of feet of snow in new polar regions which should be formed. Mountains may be the first to fall. The best solution, still, are the oceans, but it will not be easy to keep sailing in some regions. Don't run to other regions in search of safety, no place is safe in this rearrangement of the planet. You can postpone the inevitable for days or months, but the planet will only stabilize during 2013. Remember to keep your personal frequency at a high level, only this attitude can somehow help you and your family. Avoid following instructions of your governments, try to survive without the sacrifice of others, that is. Try to survive through it without harming others, otherwise it is not worth it to survive. Mythi. This video was released showing a probe acting against a missile test launch in Vandenberg Air Force Base. Could you tell us what it is? Yes, this is a PleiadianProbe and, being extremely fast, may disable nuclear warheads as well as navigation systems. Even if the missile has already been released, it's way too slow by our standards. The probe can reach 100 miles per second if needed. As I said, the Pleiades have taken on the responsibility of the deactivation of such weapons throughout the world. In this satellite photo, we see an object beyond the plane. Is it a probe? A spaceship? Why is it not visible in the picture? This photo shows a spaceship passing at a speed much greater than the plane. The speed is greater than the shutter of the camera from your satellite, so it only records the trace of the passage. This ship must be traveling at a speed greater than 5,000 miles per hour, slow for its capabilities, but too fast for the camera's static shutter. Mythi. We have satellite photos like this, showing the spread of chemical sprays in the atmosphere. They would somehow be eliminated? When we fly, we see many areas in these conditions. Unfortunately, when it all falls to the ground, it can be absorbed. And will also be for plants and animals. It will take several months for all this contamination to calm down with the rains. We do not understand how your peoples are apathetic and do not react against these attacks on the nature of your own planet. You are, in your great majority, a good people, but you do not know how to choose your leaders. They do what they want with you and the planet. Mythi. I have received questions about EleninCom, a comet that is approaching the solar system. Is it Nibiru? Could you talk about it? Well, I think the comet you call Elenin is a fragment that precedes Nibiru, just days ahead. I guess that's it. It's a result of the last passage of Nibiru through the solar system. After the collision of one of its planets with a moon of Jupiter. The comet was a result which, like Halley's Comet, has become part of the system. It is the hard iron core of the planet that collided approximate 3,600 years ago. This nucleus was thrown toward the orbit of the Sun and thus began the same elliptical orbit as Nibiru. It alters its angle of trajectory for each crossing. The planets interact depending on their relative positions to make it happen. Elenin, if this is what they are talking about, is followed closely by Nibiru, but it's not important compared to the Nibiru mass. Nibiru will pass 0.4230 away from Earth in September. The worst case, 0.150, will be in October if it diverts its route during the passage by the galactic hemisphere. Nibiru is approaching and will be seen as a second sun for everyone on Earth this year. There is no way to hide a system the size of it. Nibiru's system as a whole is 4 times larger than the planet Jupiter. Nibiru does not have the possibility of hitting the planet Earth, but it will finish the rearrangement of tectonic plates. Its large mass, which is not part of the current balance of the system, will destabilize the entire solar system's planets simultaneously. With this rearrangement, the Earth will finally have its defined geographic poles for the next 3,600 years. Well, this is the general scenario. We will try to help as many survivors as possible. This is a cosmic event that has no palliative. It has to happen for the planet to rearrange in a different perspective and aura. Editor's note: if this is your first time reading this part of the PDF, Mythi explains in video 108 the CG's intervention of Nibiru and Elenin events on our behalf.